Hello, everyone. Today I am doing just an audio recording instead of a video as I've been doing recently because I've been ill this past week, and quite frankly, I don't have the energy to try to look even anywhere near normal for a video. So, I know it might help humanize me if I were to show you the unkempt look that I have, but being sick has given me some time to reflect, and of course, there's a lesson here, and so I feel I should share it. I've learned that a lot of people, at least in Indiana where I live, have been sick, and it's been a fun week. So that's what I want to talk about this week a little bit. Following on the heels of our cat's death, which was, gosh, I've lost all track of time now. It's been about a week and a half, I think. Our cat Maury died, and then within just a few days, we lost our energy. We were sleeping a lot, and we thought it was grief, but then we started getting sick. And so we've had very little energy, we've had GI issues, we've been barely able to eat, barely able to drink. The kids were losing almost everything they took in. Or I'm sorry, one of the kids, our daughter, she basically couldn't keep anything down, and our son, well, it was half and half. Anyway, so we're basically all mostly recovered now, after I think about a week, though we're still tender and occasionally queasy and occasionally headachy and occasionally this, so definitely nowhere near back to full strength. So, if you've been keeping up with the videos and things, you can probably imagine it's been a challenging few weeks. That January 2018. I mean, we already feel like it's been better than 2017, which is kind of crazy when you think about the fact that we've lost our cat and that we've been sick. But hey, whatever. I keep thinking back to that first video I did this year, the energy preparation for January, and how Spirit said that there's hope, and we have the morning star to guide us, and that we're in the tunnel, but there's light at the end. And of course, then there's the problem that Spirit provided the guidance that we would be able to make it through this better if we were able to meditate. I really haven't been able to meditate this month for days. I've been lucky to be able to sit upright, and anytime I close my eyes, I pretty much fall asleep. So, there's been a lot of reading and a lot of sitting with my eyes half closed, half open. I've noticed that being ill kind of weakens my spirit a bit too, especially as ill as I've been. While awake, all of my energy's gone into trying not to vomit and into taking care of the kids, usually washing a lot of laundry, just doing the best to try to keep fluids in them. Once I was starting to be back on the mend, however, like there was one day where I woke up suddenly and I kind of had energy. Like I was able to stay awake all day. And by all day, I mean from, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That was good. Once I was on the mend, then I started thinking, I was worried about the fact that I hadn't been exercising, I hadn't been meditating, and I hadn't been able to work. All of these are very important to my emotional and mental well-being generally on any given day. Meditating and exercising are very, very important to how I feel, and so there's this, well, if I'm meditating and exercising, would it help me feel any better? Because I already, okay, so I've got to kind of shut down that chatter, because yes, physically I'm definitely better, but then mentally, when your body is weak, your spirit can get a little weak too. You're just kind of worn out, and sometimes it takes energy to maintain a positive focus, or even just a non-negative focus, just a neutral focus. I started worrying about the fact that, again, I haven't been exercising, not meditating, not working, and, making money to support the family. And then also worrying about whether, the kids were getting enough water and nutrients, rather than just, okay, here, hand them whatever and say, try to keep that down. Or, okay, you don't have to take anything, just sleep. But then I have to stop and realize and kind of, even meditate on the fact that there's been a blessing in all of this. I got so many cuddles from my kiddos this week. The house was basically peaceful because we were all just sleeping, or too tired or miserable to complain. Somehow noise seemed to make the nausea worse, so there wasn't a lot of noise in general, and I got a tremendous amount of reading done. I got to read an entire 400 plus page book in about 4 days. So, when the kids are sleeping, I got to read. It was quiet. But basically the point I'm trying to make, my thoughts always kind of wander in this tangled web of interconnectedness always, but it's kind of worse this week. as you can probably tell. But the point I'm trying to make is that there is a blessing in everything if you're willing to see it. I could spend time sitting here and passing judgment on myself for not exercising or meditating or pushing myself through the nausea and the headaches and to work harder. But instead, as I'm beginning to feel better, I'm preferring to take time to meditate on and think back on all that time I got to spend cuddling with my kiddos and sitting down and immersing myself in a book, neither of which I would have been able to do had I pushed through and worked. And usually, the first biggest lesson of illness, I don't know if it's true, but I'm going to make this statement that it's long been recognized that illness can teach us lessons. There's a book out there called The Healing Power of Illness that is all about this. I only know that because I've picked it up and it took me several years to make it through, honestly, a bit here and a bit there. But it's true, and it's something that I talk about in my memoir, which still working on. But I realized a long time ago that there's meaning in everything, and illness is definitely one of those things that can teach us lessons. Usually, the first and biggest lesson in any illness is slow down and pay attention. And I would shout that, except I don't have the energy to do that. Slow down and pay attention. I used to have a roommate in college. Every year during Christmas break, she would fall ill for about a week, just completely out of commission, lying in bed. That was all she could do every year. And part of it, I was always pretty certain was she just ran herself so ragged, so hard all the time during the year that then when she had the first chance to take a break, her body just kind of said, okay, screw it, we're doing nothing because, you've been pushing me and now you are under my control and we are doing nothing. I could have spent time this past week focusing on what we lost, our cat, for example. We could have spent time focusing on that and being incredibly sad. And I could have spent all this time focusing on the future, making my plans, trying to, build my business and do work to earn money. And, those wouldn't have been bad. But really, when it comes down to it, illness forces us to focus on the present, to be. We are kind of forced into just being in our bodies and being aware. I read, so you can argue that I wasn't really in the moment, except that there's a lot of, the way I read, there's a lot of taking a break and contemplating what's going on in the moment. I could have been focused on the past or focused on the future, but being sick forced me to be in the moment. I was focused on the bare necessities of eating and drinking just enough to stay alive and to let my body heal itself. And, when I didn't have enough energy for that, I slept or, again, was taking care of the kids. Other than barely taking care of myself, I was focused on just being with my kids, being a mother, and providing what comfort I could. That's what really matters. All we have is the present. The past is gone, and the future, we can plan for it all we want, but it's not guaranteed to us. In any moment, all we have is the present, and that's really the biggest takeaway that illness forces us to face.